Good morning and welcome to Posers Club Yoga. I'm Jess, and today we're going to be working through a prenatal yoga flow for strengthening. This yoga flow is suitable for any trimester of pregnancy, so all my expecting moms can take part in this practice. As you can see, I'm not alone today. I have Roland here, and I have a couple props. So before we begin, I would like to make sure that you have a chair. You can use any dining chair or even just like a folding chair, preferably something with no arms, so just the back and the seat. Like I said, I just have a regular dinner chair, so I would have that somewhere towards the top of your mat, but I would also make sure that it's still actually on the mat. So you can see I have my chair resting on the sticky mat. This is to give it some stability so that as we're moving and using it and pressing our weight on it, things like that, we don't have to worry about this slipping and sliding. You may even, if you'd like, for more security, you may even like to put the back of the chair against a wall. So there's that. The other thing I have is my yoga blocks. And then I would recommend for your seated poses, if you don't have yoga blocks, maybe get a rolled up towel blanket or even a yoga bolster to kind of lift the hips up as we are seated. So that's what we'll use today. I'll give you a moment if you'd like to pause this video to grab yourself any props that you like. And of course, if you like blankets and pillows and things for the end when we get into our final resting, feel free to do that as well. All right, without further ado, we're going to begin. And we're actually going to start our class seated. So again, you can find any comfortable seat on the mat, and I always recommend, especially in prenatal classes, sitting with the hips raised ever so slightly. So I'm on a block here. Again, you can use a rolled up towel or blanket or even a yoga bolster if you have it. Totally up to you. Maybe you're comfortable directly on the ground. I'm just going to give myself this little bit of lift. And find any cross-legged position that's comfortable. Go ahead and place both palms face down on either thigh. We want to just begin our practice by grounding ourselves. So if it's comfortable, you can close the eyes or at least relax the gaze. Allow the chin to tuck ever so slightly. And begin to breathe in and out through the nose. For the first few breath cycles, notice where that breath is as it exists naturally in the body. So notice the pace and the tone of the breath. Notice where you feel it in the body. Then once you've come into connection with the natural breath cycles, see if you can't begin to lengthen them out any amount. So really trying to draw each inhale and exhale out for as long as we can. This will help calm the system. Maybe you count the beats per inhale and per exhale if that helps you keep connection. And if you'd like to set an intention for your yoga practice, this is a great time to do so. You can find and repeat an intention for yourself 3 times right now. Again, this can be anything you want. And we are working with strengthening this morning or this afternoon or evening, whenever you're practicing this. So if you don't have another intention, you can always use that theme or quality of strength. And once you have recited your intention to yourself a few times, If the eyes were closed, take a moment to flutter them open. And we'll begin our practice. So we'll start seated. You can stay right where you are. And keep the hands resting on the thighs or the tops of the knees. Take a deep breath in as the gaze comes directly to center. And then as you breathe out, go ahead and drop the right ear to right shoulder. Continue to breathe, so in and out through the nose as you allow the chin to drop to chest. And then we're creating circles with the nose. So I'm drawing my circles in a clockwise direction. I'm like, wait a minute, which way is this moving? So yeah, I'm working in a clockwise direction. You can go in whichever direction you started in. You may not have dropped over to the right at first, and that's okay. Once you've gone through a few rotations in that first direction, go ahead and take a full breath cycle the next time that chin drops to chest. So take a full breath in and out once you're there. And then on the top of the next inhale, you can just begin to reverse the direction of your neck circles. So drawing those circles with the tip of the nose going the other way. Just to even it out, balance it out. Not minding the wild cat that's all over your furniture right now, or whatever the case may be. Good, and then the next time chin drops to chest, again, take a full breath cycle in and out here. With the chin into chest. And then when you're ready, we can lift that gaze again. Go ahead and drop the arms all the way down at your sides. We're going to take some shoulder circles. So on your inhale, crunch the shoulders up towards your ears. As you exhale, roll the shoulder blades down and around behind you. Good. We'll keep the flow of our breath here. Inhaling and exhaling as we bring shoulders down and around, dropping behind us. 2 more times. Nice. Roll the shoulders behind you on the exhale. We're going to do the same thing, only we're going to bring the shoulders in the opposite direction. So we're inhaling as we come up. This time on the exhale, we're widening in the back body. So we're bringing the shoulder blades into the front. Inhale. Exhale around to the front. Maybe you even kind of curve in that spine as you come forward with the shoulder blades. And one more time here, inhaling to crunch, exhaling as we roll. Excellent. Drop arms, or palms rather, back down at your sides. And then on an inhale, we're lifting arms up overhead. Maybe the gaze follows. Good. Exhale, turn palms away from each other. Drop the palms and arms back down to the sides of either hip. Inhale, lifting, really stretch, create space between each vertebrae. Exhale, come back down. Press in through the sitting bones, creating length in the spine in the opposite direction. So we're pulling up on the inhale, pressing down on the exhale. Let's do that one more time. Nice and conscious. Really pull, or press up rather. Imagine that the air is weighted. You really have to push to get that overhead. And then same thing, exhale, push down as if you need to create resistance. Good. We're going to slowly make our way to tabletop so that we can start doing our standing work. And again, make sure your chair is nearby if it's not already there. I'm going to go ahead and remove my block. And then we want to make our way to tabletop. So I'm going to turn to the side here for everybody watching. We want to come into our tabletop pose. So we're on all fours. The knees and the hips are stacked, so you have that straight line. same thing with wrists and shoulders. You want one vertical line directly from the wrists all the way up through shoulders. So try not to create any angles in the body there. By coming into this neutral tabletop, you're also creating that nice straight line in the back body. And we're going to take our cat and cow before we come into our work here. So press the tops of the feet into the mat. Gaze is just straight down between the fingers to start. And as we inhale, we're dropping the belly and spine, lifting the tailbone, lifting the gaze. We're in cow pose. As you exhale, reverse that for cat. So we're lifting the navel and spine up towards the ceiling this time, dropping head, neck, and tailbone. Good. Take this 3 more times, pace of your own breath, nice and slow. So take the whole length of the inhale to come into your cow pose. Take the entire length of the exhale to come into your cat pose. Good. As you do this, you can find any additional movement. So maybe it feels good to kind of sway the hips. Continue rotating in the neck. Just find any other movements that feel good here. And then once you've gone through those 4 breath cycles in cat and cow, we can come back to neutral. Bring your big toes in together and really widen that space between your knees. This will give us room for our bellies here and also just to open us up in the hips. Take a breath in, and then as you exhale, send the heels back, or the hips back towards the heels. And then from here, again, you can either use your block, or if you have a prop, or you can even just stack your fists. Let's bring our forehead down to the mat. Again, you can modify this in any way. Maybe you have a yoga bolster or a rolled up blanket down here. And you can extend the arms out in front of you, or if it feels good, maybe even bring them behind the body. Again, just notice what feels nice in your body today. This pose can look different every time you practice. Take one more breath cycle here, noticing as you're in child's pose where you feel the breath in the body. So where do you feel a rise or fall, an expansion or contraction? And then when you're ready, extend those arms all the way out in front of you. Open the hands nice and wide so that the weight is distributed evenly throughout the hands. And then as you take a breath in, we're coming up, moving hips away from heels. Tuck the balls of the feet into the mat, so we're tucking the toes. And then on an exhale, we're sending our hips up into downward facing dog. Now, if downward facing dog is too much of a challenge for you, this is the first pose where we can use the prop. Rather than resting the palms on the mat and coming up with the hips. From tabletop, you can bring a hand to either side of the chair seat and then do the same thing. We're lifting up to downward facing dog. We're just not coming fully into the pose. So we're using the chair, again, as a little assist for us. So as we work through our poses, I'll show you the couple modifications you can take for any of these. Just breathe wherever you are in downward facing dog. And then whether or not you're using this chair modification, when you're ready, 1 foot at a time, begin to walk those feet up towards the hands. We're coming into a standing forward fold. So as we walk our way up towards the top of the mat, taking our time, we're keeping knees bent any amount, keeping upper body relaxed, upper body relaxed. And then once you find that forward fold, just really let the arms hang heavy. Maybe you even grab opposite elbow to weigh yourself down just ever so slightly more. Good. We're going to take a slow roll to standing. So if you did grasp onto those opposite elbows, take a moment to release them. And then keeping upper body heavy, On the top of a breath cycle, begin to straighten in the legs. And then slowly from the hips up, one vertebrae at a time, we're rising up to stand. Head and neck come up very last. Keep arms relaxed. And from here, you can create a little bit of space between the legs if you need. So typically in mountain pose, we have the feet together all the way, or we have them about hip distance apart. But if needed, let's create a little more space for ourselves. Reason being, we're going to work into some half salutations, and a lot of times during pregnancy, it is more comfortable to have that space between the legs so that when we bend into our folds, we're giving ourselves room for the belly and for our baby. So, again, find that space you like. If it helps to ground you before we begin our work, lift the toes up off the mat, and then one toe at a time, drop them intentionally back down. This is going to help seal our base. Slightly tuck that tailbone. Imagine that the navel is pressing towards the spine, baby and all. Allow arms to relax at your sides, and we're just going to take some half salutations. So we're going to inhale as we lift arms overhead. Again, that gaze can come up overhead. Maybe you even give a slight back bend if that feels nice. And then as you exhale, again, we're sinking, hinging at the hips, bending into that standing forward fold. That space between our legs accommodates the belly if we need. On a breath in, we're lifting halfway. So press your palms into the shins, or you can keep them on the mat. Find length in the spine. One long horizontal line here. And then on a breath out, exhale, release back into the fold. Good. When you're ready, big breath in. Let's rise back up. Arms come up overhead. Find that upward salute. And then exhale, palms come together. We're pressing hands at heart center. The thumb comes in towards the sternum. And we'll take this 3 more times. Inhale, lift. Good. Exhale, find your fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Lengthen out, create space in the spine. And exhale as we fold, sinking back. Inhale, come up. Focus on pressing through both feet, all areas of the feet to keep balance. And we'll do this one more time. Breathing in for our half lift. And exhale, release. Good. Breathing in, we come all the way up. And exhale as we come back. We're going to work a little bit in our chair pose, and then we'll take a bit of a standing flow where we'll use the chair more. Now for chair pose, as we come into the pose, I'm just going to demo it really quick. This is our chair pose, right? So if you feel, even in this pose, sometimes there's some balance issues when we have that addition of baby in our belly. It can just kind of throw us off the center that we're used to. So you have 2 options here. You can use your chair and actually have it behind you so that if you do fall back, you have a chair. Or option number 2 is you can be against a wall. So obviously I don't have one super close to me here, but if you did, you would just have, the wall right up by your back, and then that way you can kind of lean into the pose with the wall right behind you. Same concept as the chair, just giving you something to lean back into. So that is kind of a modification option here. You can stay standing where you are. If you had that stance widened for your forward fold, bring the feet in just a little bit. All right. from here. We're going to inhale, bring arms up overhead. As they come overhead, keep the arms shoulder distance apart as if you're holding a beach ball, and exhale to just relax the shoulders away from the ears here. Take another breath in, pressing through the base of the feet, and then as you exhale, bend the knees, send hips back. We're coming into our chair pose. Good. We're going to hold chair for 2 breath cycles. So keep those arms out in front of you. If that's uncomfortable, maybe you bring those hands to heart center. Gaze is directly forward, so find that drishti. And then when you're ready, on your next inhale, lift all the way up. Good. Exhale, hands at heart center. We're going to practice chair a couple more times. We're going to take a twist on either side in chair pose, and then we're going to hold again, and then we'll move on. Excuse me. Morning allergies. So again, inhale, lift, grab your beach ball. Exhale, relax shoulders away from ears. Take another breath in from here. Exhale into chair pose. Now, from here, let's go ahead and we're going to drop left forearm to left thigh. Allow that right arm to kind of relax and dangle out in front of you. And then on your next inhale, we're lifting up, opening to the right into a twist. Keep breathing, hold for the exhale and another full breath cycle. And then one last big breath in. As you exhale, drop down. We're going to switch to the other side. So you're going to drop right forearm to right thigh. Allow that left hand to relax. Take a big breath in as you come up. And then again, we're holding for the exhale, holding for another full breath cycle. Big breath in, holding that twist, open to the left. Exhale, come down. Grab that beach ball down in front of you. And then inhale, come back up to chair. So we're holding chair for the exhale as well. Big breath in, let's come up. Beautiful. Take the entire breath out to lower the palms to heart center. And take a moment to just reconnect with any intention you may have set. Good. And we'll begin our standing work here. So what I like to do with my chair is, again, I'm going to have it with the chair is going to be facing me, right? So I have the seat of the chair facing me. Move that so you can see it a little bit better. Actually, let's do this while we practice. Okay. And maybe there will be a roll in there. Who knows? So the chair is here. We may not use it at first so much, but as we get deeper into this flow, you'll see how you can use it. Biggest thing is it's here in front of you, kind of as a point of balance. So you can kind of rest that front knee on it. You can bring the arms out in front of you if you need to hold on to it. As we come into Warrior 2, you have it here. Come into some side angle work. So I'll kind of show you how that's going to work for us. I would say start off about 6 to 8 inches away from that chair. And we're going to start with the right side of the body. So when you're ready, inhale, keep the hands on the hips, send that right knee up to the sky, and then exhale as you step back with the right foot. And you want to keep the right ball of the foot pressed into the mat, right heel lifted. So we're in our Crescent Lunge pose. This is how we're going to start our practice for the day. Again, you have the chair here if you'd like to kind of hold on to it for anything, or if you fall forward. You can even have a chair on the, a chair on the side so you can hold on to the side. It's totally up to you here what you want to do. We're going to inhale, bring arms up overhead, and then exhale as we bring those hands to heart center once again. So this is kind of our meeting point as we take this flow. You notice in Crescent Lunge you can lift and lower your heel. We're going to practice working with that just a little bit. So drop that heel as close to the mat as you can get it right now. And then as you inhale, let's lift up with that back leg and send fingertips to the sky. Good. Exhale, lower back down. Do this with intention 3 more times. Inhale, slow rise. And exhale, come back to center 2 more times. Remember, really take your time with this. Treat it like a slow flow. Incorporate all the muscles for strength. Last time. Good. From here, bring arms up overhead on the inhale. And then as you exhale, drop the right foot down at an angle behind you. So you want it at a slight, like a 45-degree angle, which means that the right toes are going to be pointing towards that front right corner of the mat. And then the right heel is going to be pointing towards the back left corner of the mat. So we're now in Warrior One pose. From Warrior One, we're just going to open in the chest. So inhale as fingertips come up as high as they can towards the sky, really lengthening in the upper body. And then as you exhale, bend your elbows 90 degrees and send that heart forward. Give a slight back bend here. We're taking goalpost arms. Inhale. Exhale, bend once again. Goalpost arms. Let's do this 2 more times. Inhale, lengthen. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. We're going to open to Warrior Two here in a second. So inhale as you lift the arms up, also come back up onto the ball of that right foot. And then as you exhale, let's pivot the toes so that they're all facing forward once again. And we're sinking back into our Crescent Lunge. Good. Take an inhale from here. Now that we have the heel raised, we can rotate and open to Warrior Two. So let's open once again. Open to the right side of your mat. Drop the right heel again so that you have that foot at an angle. So our feet are basically in Warrior One position again. The biggest difference is that our hips and our upper bodies are opened to the right. We're in Warrior Two. When you're ready, we're going to lean over to the left as we take a breath in. And then as we exhale, drop your palm to the seat of your chair, and we're coming into a modified side angle. So we're using the chair, hopefully you don't have a biting cat on yours. We're using the chair as the floor basically, so you don't have to drop all the way down. Press the palm into that chair back. Continue to breathe and keep that chest open. So if you feel like you're collapsing, I'll be able to demonstrate this better on the other side. Really imagine there's a string pulling that thumb behind you to open the chest. Good. Keep breathing. When you're ready, on your next inhale, slowly come up to Warrior Two. And then on your exhale, let's reverse it. So bring right palm to right thigh. Left palm comes up overhead, facing you. Hold for a full breath. And then when you're ready, on your next inhale, we're coming back up. Exhale as you straighten that front leg. We're going to do the same thing with modified triangle. So we're going to drop our hand down onto the chair to take a modification of triangle. So same thing as that extended side angle. As you breathe in, hinge to the left. And then as you exhale, let's drop the hand to the chair. Maybe you have the flexibility to even bend that elbow and drop forearm. Totally up to you what you take here. Just in a modification of triangle pose. Keep breathing. Take one more inhale where you are. As you exhale, bend the front knee and windmill that right hand around. So we're coming into a modified low lunge here. You can either grab onto your chair, or you can come all the way down to the mat, or maybe even you have blocks and you want to lift up on the blocks. So a couple options here. I'm going to take the chair modification just to demonstrate it, but again, wherever you're making contact, go ahead and do so now. And from here, you can either come straight back to your downward facing dog, or you can take a vinyasa. So I always recommend those with the chair. Again, whatever's comfortable in your body for your stage of pregnancy. But if we're taking the modification, we can just lean forward to our chair for a modified plank. And then lower down into a modified chaturanga. Come up to a modified cobra. Again, we're doing these same poses as we would normally. We're just pressing into a chair rather than the floor. And then exhale, come back, downward facing dog. So again, you can take those poses with or without the prop. Once you're back in downward facing dog, again, you can create space between the legs if you need to accommodate the belly. Take a breath cycle or two, finding any movement that's needed. Or maybe stillness, just whatever your body's asking for. And then same thing as a moment ago, when you're ready, let's slowly, one foot at a time, begin to walk our way towards the top of the mat. Coming into our standing forward fold, and once again, we can bend those knees any amount if we need to. And then as soon as you're ready, releasing elbows if you have them clasped. And one vertebrae at a time, we're coming up nice and slow. Keep breathing. Head and neck come up very, very last. Create that bit of space between the legs if you need to. Again, that just helps us with balance. We're going to do the whole series on the other side. So keep that chair exactly where it is. Hands on hips as you breathe in. This time lift that left knee up towards the sky, and then exhale as you step back with the left leg. So we're starting with that heel raised. Arms come up overhead. As you exhale, drop your heel and bring hands to heart center. We're going to lift and lower 4 times on this side. Inhale. Heel lifts. Exhale, heel lowers. Let the arms follow. Nice and slow. Lifting on the inhale. Lowering on the exhale. 2 more times with control, with intention. Good. Last time lowering. On your next breath in, lift the heel, lift arms up overhead, and as you exhale, drop that left foot at an angle. So we're in Warrior One. Hip points are facing forward. That right leg's bent with the knee and ankle stacked. And then your left foot's dropped at an angle. So this time left toes are pointing towards front left corner, left heel's pointing towards back right corner. Cool. From here, let's take a big breath in as we send fingertips to the sky. Exhale, open to your goalpost arms. The heart and chest shine forward. 3 more times. Inhale. And exhale, open. Nice. Inhale. Breath out as we open the heart. And last time. Good. Inhale, come up. Raise that heel as you exhale, rotate again. So we're back in Crescent Lunge. So we have all the toes pointing forward. That left heel is lifted. Take another breath in. Raise up off the heel all the way. As you exhale, we're opening again to Warrior Two. So we're dropping that back foot at an angle. Once again, we just lift that heel to help us pivot from Warrior One to Warrior Two. So we're in our nice Warrior Two. That front knee and ankle are still stacked. We'll take our side angle. So inhale as we reach over to the right this time. Exhale as hand drops to our chair. We're in a modification of side angle, left fingertips come all the way overhead. Again, maybe you even drop down to that forearm. It's totally up to you how you take this mod. Maybe Tuesday it looks different than it looks on Wednesday. That's okay. Keep breathing. When you're ready on your next inhale, we're coming back up. And as we exhale, we're reversing our warrior. So same thing on the opposite side, left thigh on left, or left palm on left thigh. Full breath cycle here, and as you inhale, come up. Take a breath out, straighten the front leg. We're going to get ready for triangle pose. You can bring those palms to face the front of the room, or whichever your front is. It changes all the time in yoga. All right, so when we're ready, another breath in, we're hinging to the right, and another exhale as we find triangle pose. Again, take this modification however you like. You can drop down to forearm. I actually should have moved my chair because it's in a funky spot, but you're basically just using the chair as your raised up floor so that we're not having to come all the way down, right? See, I don't even have a belly and I'm having issues with that. So use the chair to your advantage. Take one last inhale here. As you exhale, bend that front knee, cartwheel your hand around. Same thing. You can either come straight back to down dog, whether you're on the chair or taking the full version of the pose, or you can find a vinyasa of choice. And again, we're going to slowly walk one foot at a time towards top of the mat. And as you can see, I'm still holding on to my chair. I just kind of walked my arms or my hands down the legs there. So as you take one final forward fold here, feel free to do that as well. Again, maybe you create more space between the legs to accommodate the belly. And one last time, slow roll to standing. Pressing through the base of the feet. Roll from the hips all the way up, head and neck come up last. Awesome. We're going to do a balancing pose and then we're going to work our way back down. So this time what you want to do with your chair is you want to, let's see, we're going to start on this side. You want to have the chair back facing your right hip. So you can see I kind of have that seat turned out away from me, and I want to be able to hold on to this chair back. We're going to take a modification of tree pose. So you may have noticed throughout the course of pregnancy that that growing baby does affect your balance a little bit. This is why we've been using the chair the whole class, but we're going to work a balancing pose. So I'm just going to show you how this chair can be used as a simple assist to work through these balancing poses that may not feel quite as accessible without the prop. All right, so we want to have a little bit of space between the feet to start. Go ahead and bring your hand to the top of that chair back. We're going to keep it there. Left hand is on the hip. And then you want to begin to shift your weight over into that right foot. So you kind of begin to let off of that left leg a little bit. And then as you do so, bring the inside of the left foot to the inside of the right leg. So I have the ball of the foot pressed into the mat, and I have the left heel just resting right above right ankle. Now I'm going to bring my left hand to heart center so that I can raise my tree branches as I come into this pose. You have options here. You can take tree pose just like this, lifting arms up overhead. Maybe your branches come out, so you can do what you like with the arms. Maybe you even keep that hand at heart center. This can be your tree pose for today. If you'd like a little bit more of a challenge, you can bring the inside of that left foot either just below or just above the left knee. You never want to have it directly on that socket. So decide what works for you here. Keep both hip points facing forward. And again, you can see how I'm using this chair to help provide some balance in the pose. And if you are well versed with your balancing poses, or you've been doing yoga throughout your pregnancy and you want to play, you do have the freedom to give yourself that chance to try and practice the pose in its full expression. But again, this chair is just here to help us out. Take one more breath wherever you are. Good. Last inhale. And then exhale as you lower that left leg and left arm. Take a moment to kind of balance out, shake it out, bring yourself back to center, and then we're going to move the chair to the other side of ourselves or our mat so that we can work through this once more. So this time we're hanging onto the chair back with the left hand. Right hand is on our hip. We have that little bit of space between the feet to start, and again, this time we want to just begin to shift our weight into the left foot. As we do that, we can come up off the right foot and set up that little kickstand here. So again, maybe tree pose is just the kickstand modification today. If you feel like like you'd like to take it a step further, you can bring the leg just below or just above the knee joint. And same thing, your branches can kind of be wherever you want them. Try to keep both hip points facing forward. Same thing here, maybe you play with balance by lifting off the chair with that left hand, maybe not, totally up to you. Finding that drishti or gaze point is super important in tree pose and all balancing work, so remember that from earlier in the class. You can always gaze out in front of you. All right. One last breath cycle wherever you are. Breath in. And as you breathe out, we're releasing that raised foot, the right foot. All right. So we're going to do one more thing with our chair. And I'm going to have it behind me because for some of us, we may not actually use the chair. Again, it's just going to be there kind of how it was during chair pose. All right. So we want to take a wide-legged stance on our mat. If you look down, the feet should be parallel, so think like a wide number 11. And then from here, we want to come into goddess pose. So you want to turn the toes away from each other and the heels towards each other. I believe this is like third position if you were in ballet. Don't quote me on that though. So now you have a wide V with your feet. All right. From here, we're inhaling to lift arms up overhead. As we exhale, we're bending in the knees and we're bending at the elbows. So we're finding that goalpost again in the arms. We're just kind of mimicking it in the legs. And again, we're squatting into goddess pose. If it's too much, you have a chair. So find whatever version of this pose works for you. Really press in through the feet, even if you're in the chair. Press in through those feet to work through the strengthening aspect of this pose. One last breath cycle wherever you are. Good. And then on your next inhale, begin to straighten the arms and legs. We're finding star pose. Bring your gaze to the ceiling. Exhale in star pose. Open the hands nice and wide. Stretch out in the fingertips. Maybe you even rotate in the wrists here. Keep breathing. Good. And then release on an exhale, those arms back down at your sides. You can bring the feet back in parallel to each other. We're going to take a wide-legged forward fold, and then we're going to finish class on our mats. Inhale, arms come up overhead. exhale, hinge at the hips, bend in the knees if you need, and we're finding a wide-legged standing forward fold. So same thing as before, we just have a little more space between our legs here. We can release as much as possible in the upper body, and I even like to use a block here sometimes to kind of rest my forehead. So just find anything that feels good for you. On your next breath in, drop the palms to the mat, take a halfway lift, so lengthen in the spine from this wide-legged position. And then exhale as you release back in the fold. And from here, we just want to heel-toe the feet together until we're in more of that standard standing forward fold. And then from here, we can squat lower and lower, pressing palms into the floor of the mat until we come all the way down to a seat. I have my chair behind me, so I'm going to move that. And we're almost done here. So again, when you make your way back to a seat, if you like, you can lift the hips up by sitting on a block or a blanket or a bolster, anything like that. But wherever you are, go ahead and have the knees bent in front of you, soles of the feet pressed into the floor of the mat. Legs are together, and then when you're ready, let's open up the space between the knees, bring the soles of the feet in towards each other so they're touching. You can always adjust the sitting bones if you need to. We're finding our bound angle or a cobbler's pose. You can have the hands resting just on the tops of the legs wherever they're comfortable. Take a big breath in as you send energy down through the sitting bones to lengthen in the spine. Tuck that chin ever so slightly. We're creating nice, tall, lengthened spine. Breath out. As you breathe in again, keep lengthening the spine and just hinge forward as much as is comfortable for you. It'll be different for everybody depending on your flexibility and what trimester you're in and how you're showing and all of that. So just come as far forward as is comfortable. And then on your next exhale, drop the chin to chest and just relax into a forward fold. And release all the tension in the back of the neck, the upper back and shoulders. Once again, maybe you notice where you can feel the breath or sensation of the breath in the body. So where do you feel a rise and fall? And where do you feel expansion or contraction? Take one more deep breath in and out from here. And then on your next breath cycle, as you inhale, you can lift the gaze. And then keep breathing, exhaling as you come all the way up out of that fold. You can shake out in the legs. And we're going to find Shavasana. So in pregnancy, especially after, I believe, 12 weeks, it's super important to stay away from those full supine positions. So if you lie on your back, it's important that you recline and use a bolster. You want to make sure that you still are kind of upright. For today, we're going to take side Shavasana. So I welcome you to lie on either side of your body, left or right side. You can use your yoga block or a pillow to rest your head on, or you can even just use whichever arm you have resting on the mat as a little pillow. Bend the knees, find that fetal position. If you have a blanket, you can cover yourself with a blanket. And side Shavasana, whether it's a prenatal class or not, that actually is a super restorative pose. You can choose which side to lie on depending on what type of energy you'd like to draw upon. So right side is more of that solar, masculine energy, uplifting. If you need some energy, you may choose to lie on the right side. Conversely, our left side is our more feminine or lunar side, so the energy will be more subdued, laid back, grounded. If you need to calm the system, maybe you choose to lie on the left side. And as you find a spot that's comfortable for you, you choose which side feels good. Try and relax the gaze, or if it's comfortable, close the eyes all the way. And let's allow ourselves to use these final few moments to reconnect with our breath and to reconnect with any intention we may have set for ourselves at the start of our practice. If this feels really good for you and you'd like to spend any amount more time in Shavasana, absolutely feel free to do so. You can just let this video end and slowly come up out of your final resting posture when you're ready. But I am going to end this video, so if you have something to do to move on with your day, you have errands or tasks, take a moment to deepen the breath, and as you do so, open the eyes if they were closed, and begin to wiggle the toes and the fingertips before you find other movements. Then when you're ready, press palms into the mat to help lift you up. I'm going to end in a comfortable seat so that I can seal our practice. Again, if you're lying down, that's okay. Just from wherever you are, I would like to warmly and genuinely thank you for joining me in practice. Remember, whenever we're here on the mat together, we're practicing as one. Therefore, the light, the love, the peace, and the strength in me honor those qualities in you, and so many more. Namaste. Thank you so much again for joining me in practice. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to shoot me a message. You can email me at posersclublife@gmail.com. You can send me a message on Facebook, or you can leave a comment in this YouTube video. Thank you so much. Bye.